The fluorescent security lights cast harsh shadows across the empty parking lot as Marcus Chun completed his final rounds of the corporate complex. 3 in the morning meant the world belonged to night shift workers and insomniacs, a quiet realm he had grown comfortable with over the past 2 years. His footsteps echoed against the concrete as he approached the row of dumpsters behind Romano's Italian kitchen, clipboard in hand to document another uneventful evening. A soft rustling sound stopped in mid-stride. Marcus tilted his head, listening. The sound came again, deliberate and careful, not the random scattering of urban wildlife. He moved closer to the large green dumpster, his flashlight beam cutting through the darkness. What he saw made his breath catch. A small figure crouched beside the dumpster, tiny hands methodically sorting through discarded food containers. The child moved with practiced efficiency, carefully examining each item before placing the salvageable pieces into a worn grocery bag. Marcus lowered his flashlight, not wanting to startle her. The girl couldn't be more than 8 years old, her dark hair pulled back in a tangled ponytail. Her clothes were too large and layered for warmth, despite the mild September night. She sensed his presence and froze, her wide brown eyes meeting his across the small distance. For a moment, neither moved. Marcus recognized the look in her eyes, a mixture of defiance and fear that spoke of too much experience with a harsh world. Marcus slowly crouched down, making himself less imposing. "Hey there," he said softly, his voice carrying the gentle tone he used with his own daughter Emma. "I'm Marcus. I work security here. Are you okay?" The girl clutched her bag tighter, ready to bolt. Her chin lifted with surprising dignity. "I'm not doing anything wrong," she whispered, her voice hoarse. "The restaurant throws this away anyway." Marcus nodded, keeping his movements slow and unthreatening. "You're absolutely right. I'm not here to chase you away. Are you hungry? I have some granola bars in my office." Her stomach answered before she could, growling loudly in the quiet night. She looked embarrassed, glancing away from his kind eyes. "What's her name?" Marcus asked, settling more comfortably on his heels. "Luna," she said after a long pause. "Luna Rodriguez. That's a beautiful name. Like the moon." Marcus gestured toward the pale crescent hanging above them. "Listen, Luna, it's pretty cold out here. Would you like to come sit in my office while I finish my rounds? It's warm, and I've got those granola bars. Maybe some hot chocolate from the vending machine." Luna studied his face, her young features serious beyond her years. She had learned to read adults quickly, to distinguish between those who meant harm and those who might offer genuine help. Something in Marcus's patient expression, in the way he didn't try to grab her or make demands, made her shoulders relax slightly. "You won't call anybody?" she asked, the question loaded with implications about past betrayals. Marcus shook his head. "Just want to make sure you're safe and fed tonight. Nothing more than that, I promise." 3 weeks passed before Marcus saw Luna again. He had returned to the dumpster area each night, leaving granola bars and bottled water in a clean box, always finding them gone by morning. He wondered if she was okay, if she had found shelter somewhere safer. Then, on a Thursday night during his midnight rounds, she appeared like a shadow near the loading dock. This time, she approached him first. "Marcus," she called softly, and he turned with relief flooding his chest. "Luna, there you are. I've been leaving food for you. Are you staying somewhere warm?" She nodded, but didn't elaborate. Instead, she fell in a step beside him as he continued his patrol. Her presence felt natural, as if they had been walking together for months rather than sharing just one previous conversation. "There are others," she said suddenly as they passed the empty office building next door. "Kids like me. They don't know about the food you leave." Marcus stopped walking. "How many others?" Luna shrugged, a gesture too mature for her small frame. "Maybe 6 or 7. Sometimes more when it gets cold. We look out for each other." The weight of her words settled over Marcus. A network of homeless children, surviving together in the shadows of the business district. His mind immediately went to his daughter Emma, safe in her bed at home, and his heart ached for these forgotten kids. "Where do you all stay?" he asked carefully. Luna hesitated, then pointed toward the abandoned Riverside building across the street. The old office is on the third floor. The security there doesn't check that high up, and there's still running water in some bathrooms. Marcus followed her gaze to the dark building, imagining children huddled together in empty cubicles, trying to stay warm and safe. The professional part of his mind, dormant for 2 years, began calculating resources and interventions. Marcus spent the weekend researching social services contacts, finally reaching the county child welfare office Monday morning. After being transferred 3 times, he found himself speaking with Mrs. Whitfield, a supervisor whose crisp tone suggested limited patience. "I need to report several homeless children in the downtown area," Marcus explained. "They're living in an abandoned building with no adult supervision." "Sir, are you a mandated reporter?" Mrs. Whitfield interrupted. "What is your professional capacity in this situation?" "I'm a security guard at the Meridian Corporate Complex. I've been in contact with one of the children, an 80-year-old girl named Luna Rodriguez." "A security guard, Mrs." Whitfield repeated, her tone growing dismissive. "Sir, we receive dozens of calls weekly about transient youth. Without proper documentation and official reports, there's little we can investigate immediately." "But these are children," Marcus pressed. "They're surviving on restaurant scraps and living in condemned buildings. The youngest might be only 6 years old." "Mr. Chun, was it? Unless you have specific evidence of immediate danger or criminal activity, we must prioritize cases already in our system. I suggest you contact local police if you believe there's criminal behavior." Marcus felt his frustration building. "This isn't about criminal behavior. These are vulnerable kids who need help. I understand your concern, but our resources are stretched thin. We cannot respond to every well-meaning citizen report about street children. Many of these youth choose this lifestyle and resist intervention anyway." The casual dismissal in her voice, the reduction of desperate children to bureaucratic inconveniences, made Marcus's jaw clench. He recognized the tone from his previous career, the administrative indifference that treated human suffering as statistical data. Luna didn't come back that week. Marcus checked the dumpster area every night, left food and notes, but found no trace of her or the other children. The abandoned Riverside building looked even darker now, its broken windows like empty eyes staring down at him. On Friday night, desperation drove him across the street. Using his flashlight sparingly, Marcus climbed the emergency stairs to the 3rd floor. The offices were gutted, stripped of everything valuable, leaving behind only scattered papers and broken furniture. But he found signs of recent habitation. Makeshift beds of cardboard and discarded clothing. Empty food containers arranged in neat piles. A child's drawing taped to a wall, showing stick figures holding hands under a yellow sun. "Hello," Marcus called softly into the darkness. "Luna?" "It's Marcus from a security building." Silence answered him, but he sensed he wasn't alone. Moving deeper into the space, he discovered a small room where someone had hung blankets to create privacy. Inside, sleeping bags were arranged in a circle around a battery-powered lantern. "They're gone," a voice said behind him. Marcus spun around to find a teenage boy, maybe 15, watching him from the doorway. The kid was thin but alert, his eyes holding the same wariness Marcus had seen in Luna. "The cops came through Wednesday night," the boy continued. "Scattered everybody. Some of the little ones got picked up, but Luna and a few others ran before they could grab them." "Do you know where they went?" Marcus asked. The boy shrugged. "Luna's smart. She probably found somewhere else to hide. She takes care of the young ones, you know, like a big sister." Marcus felt his chest tighten. An 80-year-old child, protecting others even younger than herself, now scattered to the winds because of bureaucratic indifference. Marcus expanded his search, walking the downtown area during his off hours. He checked under bridges, behind fast food restaurants, and in the doorways of closed shops. His security badge gave him access to areas most people couldn't reach, and he used every connection he had. On Sunday evening, he found them. Luna was crouched beside a small boy near the river, carefully cleaning a cut on the child's arm with bottled water. Her movements were gentle but efficient, clearly practiced in basic first aid. The boy couldn't be more than 6, his face streaked with tears and dirt. Luna spoke to him in soothing whispers, telling him a story about brave knights and magical healing waters. Marcus approached slowly, not wanting to startle them. Luna looked up, relief flooding her features when she recognized him. "Marcus," she breathed. "Tommy fell trying to climb a fence. I think he needs real medicine." The boy's cut was deep, clearly infected. Marcus could see the red streaks spreading up his small arm. This child needed immediate medical attention, but Luna had been doing everything she could with her limited resources. "Luna, this is serious," Marcus said gently, kneeling beside them. "He needs to see a doctor. No hospitals, don't me impeded. They'll separate us." Luna's face showed the same fear. "Last time, they put me in a place where the big kids hurt the little ones. I won't let that happen to Tommy." Marcus saw the impossible position these children faced. Seeking help meant risking separation and potentially worse conditions. Staying together meant inadequate medical care and constant danger. "I understand," Marcus said, his voice filled with gentle authority. "But Tommy could get very sick if we don't treat this properly." Marcus made a decision that would change everything. He called Mrs. Whitfield again, this time armed with detailed documentation he had compiled over the past week. Photos of the living conditions, medical concerns about Tommy's infection, and a comprehensive list of the children's needs. "Mrs. Whitfield, this is Marcus Chun. We spoke last week about the homeless children downtown. I now have specific documentation and medical evidence that requires immediate intervention." "Mr. Chun," her voice carried the same dismissive tone. "I thought I explained our protocols. We cannot respond to every citizen complaint." "This isn't a complaint anymore," Marcus said firmly. "This is a formal report from someone with expertise in child welfare assessment. I'm requesting immediate medical attention for a 6-year-old with a serious infection and placement services for multiple children in dangerous living conditions." "Expertise?" Mrs. Whitfield's laugh was cold. "You're a security guard, Mr. Chun. You don't have the training to make those determinations." "Actually, I do," Marcus replied calmly. "I have a master's degree in clinical social work from Portland State University. I'm a licensed clinical social worker with 8 years of experience in child protective services and trauma-informed care. I specialized in street youth interventions and family preservation services." The silence stretched across the phone line. Marcus could almost hear Mrs. Whitfield recalculating her dismissive attitude. "Before my current position, I supervised intake assessments for high-risk youth in the county system," Marcus continued. "I'm familiar with your protocols, your legal requirements, and your departmental guidelines. These children meet every criterion for emergency intervention." Mrs. Whitfield's tone shifted, becoming more guarded. "If you have this background, why are you working security?" Marcus took a breath. "Because sometimes life requires different choices than our careers anticipate." Mrs. Whitfield arrived at the corporate complex the next morning with 2 caseworkers and a clipboard full of forms. Her expression suggested she was here to prove Marcus wrong rather than help the children. "Mr. Chun," she called out as Marcus approached, "we're here to assess this situation you've reported. Where are these children you claim need emergency services?" Marcus led them to the small conference room where Luna and Tommy waited. He had convinced them to trust him for one morning, promising they could leave if they felt unsafe. Mrs. Whitfield took one look at Luna and Tommy and immediately began her standard assessment questions, firing them off like an interrogation rather than a caring evaluation. Names, ages, last known addresses, family contacts, she rattled off, not bothering to establish rapport or put the children at ease. Luna pressed closer to Tommy, her protective instincts evident. Both children remained silent, their faces closed off. "They're not going to respond to that approach," Marcus said quietly. "They've been traumatized by the system before." "Mr. Chun, please don't interfere with our assessment procedures," Mrs. Whitfield snapped. "These are standard protocols. Your protocols are designed for children in stable situations, not street youth with complex trauma histories," Marcus replied. "Luna, would you like to tell Mrs. Whitfield about Tommy's arm?" Luna looked at Marcus, then slowly pulled back Tommy's sleeve to show the infected wound. Mrs. Whitfield glanced at it dismissively. Surface abrasion, she noted on her form. Probably self-inflicted during normal play activities. Children in transient situations often present with minor injuries. Marcus stared at her in disbelief. That's a deep laceration with clear signs of cellulitis. This child needs immediate antibiotic treatment. The conference room door opened unexpectedly, and a tall woman in a navy suit entered. Her presence immediately changed the atmosphere. Mrs. Whitfield straightened, clearly recognizing the newcomer. "Director Hawthorne," Mrs. Whitfield stammered. "I wasn't expecting you today." Director Patricia Hawthorne surveyed the scene with sharp, intelligent eyes. She had received 3 complaints about Mrs. Whitfield's handling of homeless youth cases in the past month and had decided to observe personally. "I'm conducting unannounced quality assessments this week," Director Hawthorne said calmly. "Please continue with your evaluation, Mrs. Whitfield." Marcus watched as Mrs. Whitfield fumbled with her forms, clearly uncomfortable under her supervisor's scrutiny. Director Hawthorne's attention, however, focused on Luna and Tommy, who sat huddled together on the small couch. "Hello," Director Hawthorne said gently, lowering herself to their eye level. "I'm Patricia. What are your names?" Her approach was everything Mrs. Whitfield's wasn't. Warm, patient, genuinely interested. Luna looked at Marcus, who nodded encouragingly. "I'm Luna. This is Tommy. His arm hurts really bad." Director Hawthorne examined Tommy's wound with practiced eyes, her expression growing serious. "This needs immediate medical attention," she said firmly. "Mrs. Whitfield, why hasn't this child been taken to urgent care?" Mrs. Whitfield shifted uncomfortably. "I was still completing the initial assessment. The injury appeared minor during my preliminary evaluation." Director Hawthorne's gaze moved to Marcus. "You're the security guard who made the initial report?" Marcus nodded. "Actually, I'm Marcus Chun. I have a background in clinical social work, specializing in trauma-informed care for at-risk youth." Director Hawthorne's eyebrows raised with interest. "Clinical social work background? What brings someone with your credentials to security work?" Marcus hesitated, then decided honesty was the only path forward. "My wife was diagnosed with terminal cancer 3 years ago. I left the department to care for her and my daughter Emma. After she passed, I needed steady work with good health benefits. Security provided stability while I figured out our next steps." The room fell silent. Director Hawthorne studied Marcus with new understanding, while Mrs. Whitfield looked uncomfortable with this personal revelation. "I specialized in street youth interventions before," Marcus continued. "I developed protocols for trauma-informed first contact and emergency placement assessments. Luna and these other children represent exactly the population I worked with for 8 years." Director Hawthorne turned back to Luna. "Sweetie, how long have you been taking care of Tommy and the other children?" Luna looked up with those 2 old eyes. "Since the group home closed last spring. The lady there said we were too much trouble, so they sent us different places. But the places were bad, so we found each other again." "How many others?" Director Hawthorne asked gently. "Sometimes 6, sometimes more. We share food and keep the little ones safe." Director Hawthorne's expression grew pained as she processed the reality of children parenting children on the streets. She looked at Marcus with newfound respect. "Mr. Chun, what would you recommend as immediate interventions for this situation?" Marcus straightened, his professional expertise finally being recognized. "First, Tommy needs immediate medical care. Second, we need temporary safe housing that keeps the children together while we assess individual needs. Third, we need trauma counselors familiar with abandonment issues." Director Hawthorne dismissed Mrs. Whitfield and her caseworkers, asking to speak privately with Marcus. Luna and Tommy had been taken to the medical clinic, with Luna insisting she stay with her young friend throughout treatment. "Mr. Chun," Director Hawthorne began, settling into a chair across from Marcus. "I've been reviewing our department's approach to homeless youth cases. We're failing these children systematically." Marcus nodded. "The system treats them as problems to be processed rather than children to be protected. They learned quickly that official help often means separation and institutional placement that's worse than the streets. Director Hawthorne pulled out a tablet and showed Marcus statistics that made his stomach sink. Rising numbers of street youth, overcrowded facilities, aging out rates, and recidivism data that painted a picture of systemic failure. What'd you do differently? She asked directly. Marcus leaned forward, his expertise finally finding voice again. Create bridge programs that maintain family-like connections while providing services. Use trauma-informed care that recognizes their survival skills as strengths, not defiance. Train staff to build trust before demanding compliance. He continued, his passion evident. These kids have developed incredible resilience and mutual support systems. Instead of breaking those bonds, we should build on them. Luna's protective instincts toward Tommy aren't pathological, they're heroic. Director Hawthorne listened intently as Marcus outlined comprehensive approaches he had developed in his previous role. Community-based housing, wraparound services, educational support that met children where they were rather than demanding impossible catch-up. Mr. Chun, she said finally, we desperately need someone with your expertise and compassion. Would you consider returning to social work in an official capacity? 6 months later, Marcus stood in his new office as specialized youth outreach coordinator, watching Luna help younger children settle into the innovative group home he had helped design. The facility maintained family-like connections while providing individual support, exactly what these children needed. Luna had blossomed in her carefully selected foster placement with the Martinez family, who understood her need to maintain connections with her street family. She visited the center daily after school, naturally taking on a mentor role with newly arrived children. Tommy's arm had healed perfectly, and he was thriving in kindergarten. His foster parents worked closely with Luna's family, ensuring the children's bond remained strong. The other street youth had been placed using Marcus's trauma-informed approach with remarkable success rates. Emma had embraced her father's return to meaningful work, often volunteering at the center during weekends. She and Luna had developed a close friendship, both understanding what it meant to protect the people you love. Director Hawthorne visited frequently, documenting the program's success for statewide implementation. Mrs. Whitfield had been transferred to administrative duties, while caseworkers trained in Marcus's methods showed dramatically improved outcomes. Marcus often reflected on that night behind the dumpster, when a chance encounter with a desperate child had led him back to his true calling. He had found Luna digging through trash for survival, but she had helped him discover something far more valuable buried within himself. His expertise, compassion, and understanding had been hidden beneath grief and circumstance, waiting for the right moment to emerge and make a difference again. If this story touched your heart, please drop a comment and let us know your favorite part, or share about a time when someone saw potential in you when others didn't.